What's cracking, traders? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a team that I saw someone else run to Legend with, and I'm like, I'm going to give this a try. It looks really interesting. And it was from another creator, MarckPogoW, who, if you haven't heard of him, is a really awesome creator and a really good dude. I'm going to leave a link to his channel below. I want you to go check him out for me because he hit Legend with this team. And I saw it, and I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot because Amoonguss is just weird enough to work. And I've seen all kinds of weird lately, to be honest. But I went 15 and 15 in 6 sets with this team. So I didn't gain any elo, I didn't lose any elo. But all the losses that I had, most of them were just like team comp, nothing I could do. But there were definitely some games where I felt like I had play, and I could have had a positive day. So I think this team is really good. I can recommend it as something to try if you're trying to climb, and before Amoonguss gets extremely popular, I guess, because it's such a weird thing, but it's so good right now. Altaria Empoleon is going to be the core that Marck was running this team with. Let's get into these games. This is going to be 2 sets out of my stream. I went, like I said, a total 15 and 15. And first battle is against Magcargo. And I'm like, all right, this could go... Ooh, that music is way too loud. Sorry about that. This could go either really good or it could go really badly. We're going to see the opponent swap out. We're going to throw a Drill Peck here, try and catch some, get some damage off on this Amoonguss here. The opponent also in on the Amoonguss secret. However, they run it with the Magcargo in the lead, which is interesting. I don't know what they're going to have in the back. I'm not really sure what would be behind a Magcargo, but I'm going to bring in my Amoonguss. Best case scenario, we absorb a Grass Knot here. They're going to go for the foul play, though. They didn't really need to go for a Grass Knot anyway. We're going to be going for our own foul play here, but I'm going to get a little bit of over farm first before I throw it. I want to have some energy to throw back into the Magcargo when it comes back in, because it definitely is. The timer's coming up, and I'm going to go for a foul play here and look to do a little bit of chip damage, and I'm hoping that I left myself with just enough energy to be able to get to that harder hitting Grass Knot, which I did. Thankfully, one Astonish going to be able to fit it in under that Incinerate. We're going to be able to go for the Grass Knot, and the opponent doesn't shield. They thought it was a foul play, and they knew they could absorb another one, and they did not shield. They had like 100 energy, dude. I feel bad, because that's like one of those things where it's like, man, you don't want to give up your last shield, but you have to keep that energy. Good game. Next game up, trying to ride some success. We see a Swampert in the lead, and I have 2 better answers in the back, so I'm going to swap straight to Amoonguss, see what the opponent wants to do. Normally, they'll have flyers in the back. This trainer has a Jirachi, a Confusion user. They may have just seen the Poison Grass typing and immediately thought it could be like a Venusaur or a Victory Bell, and they swap in the Jirachi. However, they have been had. This Amoonguss is Among Us. It is sus, and it is coming to get you. Foul play is going to get not one, but both shields here, and I might even be able to farm down and win switch, possibly. We have a good amount of energy still after even throwing both of those. We are going to be able to reach the foul play. However, the opponent gets to a charge move. I have to make a decision. Am I going to shield for switch? And I'm thinking, yeah, I should probably put my Altaria against the Swampert that is in the lead. That would be a much better place to put it. However, there is something I could have also considered here, and that is that Empoleon walls the energy of Swampert if it has Sludge, which this one does. They're throwing storing some energy at my Altaria here. I'm going to go ahead and no shield. That is a Sludge. Won't do a whole ton of damage, but they see the Galarian Moltres in the back, and the opponent would have absolutely done a, well, I don't know if they absolutely would have had me, because if they had Amoonguss and we had the Altaria, we still weren't in a good spot. But Galarian Moltres would have absolutely hosed my poor Amoonguss, and that wouldn't, there's not a thing I could have done about it. But we're taking what we're given here. The opponent going to let that go because they don't have any shields, and we're going to be able to absorb one last charge move. Should be able to get this farm down here with our Altaria and be able to get to a charge move as the opponent looks to go for the double moves. We're going to have enough energy to also go for 2 moves here. I throw on bad timing here. I throw like 1 too late. But thankfully, we're still going to be able to get the Sky Attack off. We do have to endure a Sludge, though, before we can, as the opponent wants to give us a parting gift here. But we're going to be able to see MPTI get the Sky Attack off and take this game, because we can just Dragon Breath down the Moltres and take the game win. Good game, well played. Next game, we got Empoleon on the lead here against a Nidoqueen. This is going to be on Mud Slap, so this is not a lead that I really want to stay in on. I'm going to go for 1 Metal Sound just to see, because the energy that I'm going to have later on in this matchup is going to be good, because obviously if we have Water against the super effective, Water is super effective against Ground, so that's going to be a good place for us to be able to use that energy. We just have to be able to get it first. The opponent has a Araquanid in the back. and they are going to take this Grass Knot. The opponent is taking advantage of the dropped defense, but we are going to be able to get to a Grass Knot to deal a little bit more damage. It is neutral, but it's going to bring him down to a range where I'm pretty comfortable with Empoleon getting some farm here. So this is what I'm looking for, right? I need to get this farm down. The opponent going to either go for damage with a Bug Buzz or maybe even Bubble Beam me. I'm not shielding regardless because we do wall this energy. They're just going to go for Bubble Beams here, and I'm now going to just look and get this entire farm down. The opponent's Nidoqueen would still take a lot of damage even though my attack has been dropped by 2 stages. So I'm still going to stay in, and I'm going to throw that Hydro Cannon, and then I'm going to swap out and bank the next one for later. Hopefully Altaria is going to be able to handle whatever's in the back. If it's like an Azumarill or something, all right, good game, we tried. The opponent is going to bring in their Corviknight down a shield. The flamethrowers are going to overwhelm because if they let just one go, they will succumb to the Sky Attack afterwards. Air Cutter is not going to do a lot here. I'm not shielding. I don't think they went up to the payback, but we're going to overfarm here, looking to fire off this flamethrower and look to do some super effective damage. The opponent does shield up, but that's okay because we just need to go for the flamethrower. We are going to... I should probably shield this, shouldn't I? I should, but I'm not, and it's another Air Cutter. I was thinking in the moment, I remember, because I just played these games like a couple hours ago, that the opponent hadn't farmed up quite enough for a payback, or at least it didn't feel like it yet. So now we're going to land the flamethrower. The opponent comes straight back in with Nidoqueen and concedes the game. They were trying to catch, but they did not succeed. Good game. Next game, Empoleon's up pretty against the Wigglytuff. You love to see it. Now, if I can maintain alignment, we also have Amoonguss. Its energy is not as great as if it had Sludge Bomb, but the opponent is staying in here. And that is a free pass for my Empoleon to delete this thing from the game where it belongs, put it in the trash bin. The opponent going to save the energy, go into a Corviknight. And I'm going to go for this Hydro Cannon here. After this, what I should do here is I should come in with my Altaria and try to land a Flamethrower. And that's exactly what I'm going to do because the opponent is going to be ahead on energy here, but they just have to shield. And if they don't, then they lose their Corviknight. So we're going to be no shielding this first payback. It doesn't even quite do half, so Altaria can actually take 2 paybacks without much issue. I'm going to overfarm as much as humanly possible, assuming that they threw that payback pretty close to when they got it. We're going to go for the Flamethrower. That's going to get the knockout. The opponent comes back in with the Wigglytuff and looks to fire off a move right away. I'm hoping this is a Swift, but it's an Icy Wind, and they're going to get the knockout here. But Empoleon comes in, and the opponent has a Stunfisk, and now I know why they didn't really swap out, because Corviknight was really their only out. But I think in that point, you still want to swap into the Corviknight right away. They have a ground electric type, and we have an Amoonguss. We're going to go ahead and swap it in now, and I could just look to get to a Grass Knot here at this point. We have the shield advantage. We should be able to comfortably get to whatever we need to get to. The opponent's Wigglytuff is extremely low, and all I need to do really is get the shields or hit him with a Grass Knot. So we're going to be going for the Grass Knot here. The opponent has to call this if they don't want to lose a lot of HP off their Stunfisk. We're going to be going and getting the no shield from the opponent here. They're going to let that go, and at this point, it's just game over. They are way too low to be able to do much. They had to call that bait, and unfortunately, this is going to be a good game. We're going to come in with the Empoleon, get this farm down, take out the Wigglytuff, and get the game win. Good game, well played. All right, now we get this next game here, Empoleon into Gastrodon, and this is where it all started going wrong. We had a nice start here, and then I started seeing a lot of Mud Slappers and Talonflame in the lead, and just things that just were really awkward for this team. Shadow Talonflame, specifically, by the way, which I have not yet even caught one remotely decent. However, the Talonflame is going to just destroy the Amoonguss here. I have a choice to make. I could shield and get their other shield, but I'm going to go ahead and just absorb this Flame Charge. I have a shield advantage here, so I'm going to try to leverage that into seeing if I can sweep with something in this game. We're going to bring Empoleon in here. The opponent going to go for the charge move. I'm going to go ahead and just shield this up. Empoleon's my best bet at getting rid of this thing quickly. The opponent, though, is going to swap into a Dusknoir. I make a critical mistake, which I think cost me this game. I should have thrown the energy on Empoleon and tried to get that shield and then tried to farm down, because Altaria now is just going to get astonished and shadow punched into its Pokeball. It's not going to have a good time, unfortunately. And Empoleon is not dealing with the Gastrodon with whatever's left. The opponent does take that damage, but they're just, man, I need this Altaria to be able to deal with the Gastrodon, and so that's kind of where it went wrong, is I don't have any real way to deal with it. The opponent going to bring in that Talonflame, and they can just shield at this point. I don't even think my switch clock is back up yet, which is really unfortunate. And unfortunately, Empoleon's not going to be able to take it. However, we are going to be able to swap in and get a nice little catch here catch them off guard, if anything, but Gastrodon just farms me down here, and I just lose. So I don't know if there was anything I could have done about this one. I might have just been hosed from the start. But keeping Altaria for the end game, at least a little bit more than I did would have been helpful here. But that'll still be a 4-1, which we take those absolutely. Body Slam is going to take us out, though. But they're still very good games. Like, these games are, dude, 25-50s is, dude, these are some solid games. Everybody's good at this game now. It's crazy. We're getting into the next battle here in the second. This is my third set. My second set was like 2 narrow victories and 2 hard counters, and just, yeah. So opponent does not like that lead that they were given, though they might have the full flying set. I haven't seen a jump pluff in a minute either. A Feraligatr comes in, and they are going to go ahead and no shield that drill peck, which puts them in a farm down range for Altaria. They have crunch, by the way, so I feel foolish in shielding, even though I know the shield was correct. But we are going to go ahead and just tank that Hydro Cannon. Thankfully, they did not get to a crunch. We get the farm down. Opponent has that jump pluff come back in. We're going to go for these sky attacks to try and get rid of them here and see whatever they're going to have in the back. The opponent might not be doing too good against Altaria if they're going to just come back in with a jump pluff, because that's a lot of energy they have to just take now, and it's super effective. Which, unfortunately, if they had saved that jump pluff for the Amoonguss, they might have been able to get me in a really weird position here. But the opponent is going to go for the acrobatics. They full send it. Where Empoleon is coming back in. The opponent has a Primate. We have Amoonguss. And we're going to go ahead and just do as much Astonish damage as we can. Altaria was definitely going to cook in the back as well, unless the opponent has Ice Punch, which they do not. We can live another Rage Fist, even though boosted, so I won't be shielding the next move, but I will have to start being careful because my HP is going to get pretty low. And, of course, as I'm streaming at the time of these battles, I lost count of energy, and I wanted to get this foul play off before the opponent was going to be able to get to another move, and so that's why I ended up throwing on bad timing right there. We're going to see the opponent go for another Rage Fist. They got a lot of energy, and I'm kind of scared of it, not going to lie here. They get me pretty low. The opponent comes back in with a jump pluff. I bring in the Empoleon to try and get to a move, but the opponent is going to cut me off at the pass here. If this is a close combat, that's going to do so much damage, dude, and take me out, but the opponent is debuffed. However, I forget that I have a charge move loaded. I should have tapped the foul play, because that would have won me the game. Instead, I get one turn bring in and thinking I can just Astonish down because of the debuff, which I should have been, but I get one turn bring in and I'm not able to get it. It's a tie. So, good game. But that's basically half a win. So, I guess technically instead of being 15-15, it was 15-14-1. So I should be up by, like, I don't know, 15, maybe 8 points on the day. I don't know. Hydro Cannon's not going to get shielded. The opponent deciding not to shield that. And then I'm going to swap in the Amoonguss. The opponent, completely unprepared, brings in a Ghost-type Drifblim, which these Astonishes and foul plays are just going to rip in half. The opponent realizes they have not made a good judgment call. Again, I think it's, Marck said it in his video too, I think people are just seeing the Grass Poison typing and assuming it's anything but Amoonguss, which is fine with me. The opponent brings back in the Steelix, does not throw a charge move, and I'm able to get to this foul play, and that's going to threaten to shield or get the knockout. The opponent has one Pokemon remaining, and it's a Wigglytuff. I immediately switch into my Empoleon, trying to put as much pressure on as possible, but it is true, these charms are doing a lot, and so what I'm going to look to do here is get both shields, and Amoonguss should be able to KO with a Grass Knot if I leave it a shield. The opponent, however, not wanting to do any of that, they're just going to concede the game, and that's well played. I like beating up Wigglies, though. I hate seeing it, so I like seeing myself being able to beat them. And this team has good places to beat it. And in the next game here, we got a Drifblim on the lead. A little bit more of an awkward spot for it to be for this team, mostly because I would much rather have it on the Amoonguss. But as long as it's not on the Altaria, we're totally fine here. Opponent is going to go ahead and put up a shield. This is like the most obvious Icy Wind bait in the world. But I'm running low on HP, and I have to shield this. So they're going to go for the Icy Wind. I'm going to go for the Hydro Cannon here. And then what I'm actually going to look to do is I'm going to look to try to pop in my Amoonguss and start applying these super effective Astonishes pretty quickly here. Going to go for 2 and then the move, 2 and then the swap, rather, I should say. And what that allows me to do is, because I only threw 2, I only take 1 Astonish worth of damage before swapping into my Empoleon, so I can get a little bit extra energy while preserving some health. The opponent has a Credilli in the back, and it's on Bullet Seed. Yeah, this is awkward. The opponent going to go for the charge move, but Amoonguss wins CMP over this Credilli, and that's fine with me. This Grass Knot going to do some decent chip damage here to the Credilli. The opponent going to go for a Rock Tomb. They're going to drop my attack, and they win this matchup. But the important thing is that they can never farm me down here. So I'm going to go for the foul play, look to get a little bit of damage in case they decide to throw right away, which they're not. Now that I see they're over farming, I'm pretty sure they're just going to try to max out on energy before they throw the next Rock Tomb. So I could have gone perhaps for a for a Grass Knot there, but the opponent tries to come in and swap and catch that energy on their Drifblim, and unfortunately, they just catch these hands, as I was not falling for that catch. I actually was just going to keep farming anyway and expect them to just throw energy. So the opponent has a Cancel Marowak in the back, and we are able to align Altaria to it. I'm always going to leave the shield now for the Rock Tomb that I know that Credilli has, and the opponent, however, is stuck in this matchup, unfortunately for them. I'm going to be able to reach another Sky Attack, and that is massive, which allows me to force the final shield off the opponent, which is really nice. We have a move on Amoonguss. Everything is getting pretty low here. Everything, I believe, is in foul play range. Amoonguss staying in the back quite where it's safe. The opponent goes in for the Rock Slide, and I know that they're going to swap into this Credilli to combo play me, and so I go ahead and swap into my Empoleon. However, the opponent is going to be able to undercharge that Rock Tomb, and Empoleon survives. They're going to try to get this farm down, and I kind of feel like I should have let them. I don't know if I should have let them or not, but either way, Amoonguss has the move. It doesn't matter at that point because I believe we win CMP over the Marowak. I lost a couple CMPs with Amoonguss today. I thought I wasn't going to lose, but we get the win here with the foul play. Amoonguss carrying the team once again. Awkward segues, bum, 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 into the next game. We have Gyarados on the lead. This is awkward because Crunch hits very hard, and it's very fast now. So I'm going to stay in, go for a Drill Peck. I'm at least resisting the damage that they're sending this way, and I'm able to get to this move before they fire off the Crunch. So Drill Peck's going to get an early shield. I'm immediately going to now swap to Amoonguss, where I can really kind of absorb the Crunch damage a little bit better. And I don't know what's going to be in the back, and I really hope it's just not a really, really nasty answer. And they bring in Credilli. So that's not bad, but it is on acid. So that means that the opponent can go for a Rock Tomb and a farm down, and that's kind of awkward. So I'm going to be looking to go for a Grass Knot. The opponent does let me get there. That is going to be some sizable damage. Like, people have seen the foul play damage, and they'll no-shield things, and then, oh, all of a sudden, now they're very low. If I wanted to, I can flip switch here. I'm not going to do it because it would require both of my shields. I know they're at 100 energy. It's not worth it. I have to make a really unfortunate call here. I'm either going to assume that they're going to Grass Knot my Empoleon, or they're going to Rock Tomb my Empoleon, because that's what Credilli players do. And so that makes it so that I can't safely bring anything in here. I was wanting to bring in my Altaria because I figured they're probably going to Grass Knot me, but there's that thing in the back of my head says it's going to be the Rock Tomb, you idiot. And unfortunately, they did throw the Grass Knot. Would have been really interesting to bring in the Altaria there to be able to absorb that, because now they get to a Crunch, and I feel like I have to put up my final shield, which I don't know if that was the right play or not. I'm going to overfarm a bit with my Empoleon, go for the Hydro Cannon here, and hope that whatever's in the back is not a fan of Altaria. The opponent does put up their final shield. Whatever they have in the back does not like this Empoleon. However, the Gyarados gets to a move. Crunch is going to nearly knock me out, and the opponent, wait for it, the worst thing that I could have possibly had to deal with today was this happening to me at least 3 times. Never mind, I lied. I thought this was a Bastion in the back. I lied. I'm sorry. I was misremembering the games. And like I said, I just played them a couple hours ago, and they're all kind of melding together now. Anyway, hey, we're almost at the end of the video. If you're still here, by the way, thank you for dealing with my nonsense. I'm glad you're here. Anyway, we resist all of the energy off this Diggersby. The worst thing I could do at this point would probably be to, like, I don't know, swap out, try to catch a move on my Empoleon. However, the opponent going to go for the Scorching Sands, and I can immediately now swap in Empoleon because I am only 1 away, and they throw the Scorching Sands. That means we can get to the move and take the game well played. I thought it was a Basti, and I was about to be like, no, no, I got Basti like at least 3 times today. Like, saved my shields and was ready to sweep with Altaria. And then there's the Basti. Of course, the opponent has the Corviknight in the next game to counter our Amoonguss. Not a very good matchup, but at least we have neutral damage in the Astonish and the foul plays to be able to add up a little bit. Air Cutter is still a very underwhelming move. The opponent gets the attack boost, which is really unfortunate. And they're going to be able to land another Air Cutter. And that's probably going to knock out. But no, Amoonguss is him. It's a Chad Pokemon, as we know. And we're going to be going for the foul play, do a little bit more chip damage here, and I still have no idea what to bring in at this point. Amoonguss is down, and I don't really have anything. I mean, nothing can really farm down a Corviknight from here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Empoleon. I'm going to look to go for the Hydro Cannon right away. I don't want to have the chance that they just throw payback because I was trying to overfarm. Get rid of the Corviknight right now. Opponent brings in the Altaria, and they have Goodra in the back, which is definitely, like, one of the only things aside from Bastion. No, Goodra here is going to be able to outpace me to these Thunder Punches, and I'm going to need to get really fancy, but I don't really know that I can because our switch clocks are so tightly together. The opponent can 2-shield through this, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to get to enough sky attacks before they just farm me down at this point. So the opponent is going to be going for this Thunder Punch here. They have been farming up. They've been over-farming quite nicely, might I add. Perfectly throwing right before I get to these sky attacks. The opponent going to put up their final Protect Shield, and then in comes the Gastrodon, and I have to stay in and take a Body Slam, and it feels so bad. One thing that I can note is that Empoleon, however, is going to be able to resist the energy from the Gastrodon, and so I have this fine idea to go for the Sky Attack, get it down into Hydro Cannon range, and hope that I can get close enough to 2 Hydro Cannons or 2 moves here to be able to do something. But the opponent going to go for their Body Slam, and I'm going to go for 2 and get the energy off here. I wanted to throw 2 because I didn't want to get fast moved down by the Dragon Breath. I'm hoping they threw that move right when they got to it, but the opponent had a little bit of residual energy. Very nice energy management on that Goodra. The opponent did that very well, and unfortunately, poor Altaria is going to get farmed down, and then we'll take, it's basically a 3-1-1. So we did gain some points before, you know, having some bad RPS games, and then I'm not even going to be ashamed to admit it. This game does it to me all the time. Y'all watch me on the streams. You'll see it happen live. You'll see me lose my mind over it too. Tuesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come check it out, man. It's a good time. Thanks again to MarckPogoW for the team, and please go check him out. Again, I'm going to leave a link to his channel down below. Dude, he's such a good player at this game. He's really worth going over there, subbing, watching his content. Anyway, I'm gonna stop gushing about people that dude, I love seeing an up-and-coming content creator that isn't like immediately boosted to fame because he's world champion, but like, he's just awesome, dude. He's just an awesome dude. Go check him out. Anyway, thank you. I'm gushing. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.